So, this is the main topic that actually drove me into creating videos today. And if you look to your right hand side, or should I say towards the chat box area, you will notice that there's a link I have there. It's at the forefront in case you're just coming in. So, the thing about it is, and anybody who's going to be watching me on YouTube, I'm also going to put the link in the description of the video. But today, I'm your host, 5 minutes or less, media review. But today, we're not going to be giving a media review. We're just simply going to have a conversation here. Now, as you already know, the topic today is, should DNA testing be mandatory? And I think this conversation got started after I watched the YouTube video. And I saw continuously as the two sides kept fighting for, who is right. Should this be mandatory? And the major thing about it is this, we should move away from whether it's mandatory or not. I think the main thing we should ask ourselves is, do we really need the DNA testing? Okay, especially in today's day and age. Now, I can put it like this for you guys, and the reason. Okay, let me just put it like this. Let's just settle the debate. Should the DNA testing be mandatory? I don't think so. It shouldn't be. It should be on a case by case basis, and the family involved when a child is born should be asked whether they want to add DNA testing for that child. And it should just be an additional fee on top of all the other fees they have to deal with. Do I think insurance should cover it? Not really, except if they made provisions in one of their so-called policies whereby they simply say, hey, for taking this insurance, there's a package we have over here. We're going to add free DNA testing for your children, But that is the way I would answer the question. Should it be mandatory? No. Should it be something that every person who is born, should it be something that should be offered to a family when a child is born? I say yes. It should be part of the packaging. It should be part of, how do I put it now? Part of the assessment situation. The reason being is this. I've been around a lot of families, especially during this period where so many families are trying to migrate to the United States, especially in their old age, in order to take advantage of what the United States have to offer, especially in the healthcare system. A lot of people are not privileged enough maybe to go to India and so on and so forth. So they're trying to utilize maybe, an advantage whereby their children are already here in the United States and they're trying to file for their own family back at home. And the thing about it is this. When some of the children who were raised back at home are trying to file for their fathers, sometimes they find out that not all the children are actually from the same father. We're talking about married people here. They find out that their fathers are not really the same person. And sometimes, in fact, this was a very worse scenario, in my personal opinion, is that 6 children that a man worked hard day and night, worked all of his life to raise all his children, take them to college, beg, cry in front of other people, owe them loans. That this man went through all this pain, right? Just to reach this moment when all the children are trying now to help him out, and they can't help him out because they are not his children. All 6 of them were not his children. They're not fathered by him. So now he can't even come here. All they can do is, send money down to him to help him out, and that's probably not enough. This man has toiled for over 30-something years of his life to give these children a great life. And just to find out now that they were not his, that he has been raising other people's children. And when the children started inquiring about what may have happened, they found out that the mother was cheating on him. She didn't want to have his children. She wanted to have somebody else's child. So she was cheating on him to have all those children. That's why she was always happy, because she was having children from another man that she wanted to, have children for. But she never had it for the man who provided everything that she had. And that's a very bad situation here. I mean, like I said, it was not something that wasn't known to some of us. Sometimes when in our own culture, sometimes when the woman is married to a man for up to 2 years and she has not had any child from that man, they start, the community or the women in the community start blaming her for eating her own children. They say she's a witch, or she's this, she's that. She cannot even bear this man a child. So when you see situations like that, a lot of women are pressured to have children almost immediately. So they might go to somebody else and get those children. As long as they can get those children and present it to this other man and say, hey, I have children for you, the community in itself will stop, putting pressure on them by saying that, oh, the women are infertile. You see, back in the day, according to one of my grandmothers, when I was speaking to her, she said, a lot of women don't know anything called, being barren. There was no such thing as being barren back in those days. It was hard for them to see women who were barren, because many women would, after a while, they would just go ahead and sleep with another man and present that man's child as, this other person. So there was no such thing as that. But in today's world, whereby a lot of people are trying to be very honest about things and people have forgotten how certain things were done, now you are seeing a lot of situations whereby a man and a woman will stay in a childless relationship, and everybody, everybody's saying what's going on? Why take so long to have children? But that is part of the issue here. But in our modern age, where we now have DNA testing, the question becomes this: is it important for every father to have a child? I mean, for a father to know that it is his own child that is being brought into the world. And I think yes, it's very important for that man to know that, because we already know what has been happening in the past. God only knows what is the new scheme nowadays. From one of my younger girlfriends, she's a friend. She said sometimes when a man sleeps with a woman and he forgets to destroy his condom or flush his condom, some women might even go condom dumpster diving, to get that man's seed and put it in themselves. And I think sperm stay 48 hours before they die off. So if someone gets a hold of you, you're in trouble on that one, and she can file for whatever. And you can still be held accountable for it, even if you did not actively participate in intercourse. If someone else has your own child and can DNA prove it that you're the father of that child, then yes, the government itself can hold you for child support, whether you actively did it or not, because they were not there to see what really happened. But here's the situation, guys. I say this to say this: DNA testing is very, very important, because men can now know that the person that he's raising is his own child. Because sometimes when you're raising a child, the child will say, "You're not my daddy. I don't think you're my dad. If you're my dad, you'll not be doing what you're doing to me." And then at that moment, you can just present the DNA as the DNA result and simply say, "You know what? Here's a copy of the DNA test for you. Read it and weep." It's a good feeling that way. That way they understand that whatever you're doing to your own child, it's also hurting you. It's not a one-way street. But the most important thing is that you're now assured that you're raising your own child. And a lot of women will say, well, if you're in a marriage, why should you bother doing a DNA test? And like I said earlier on, in fact, at the beginning of this conversation, is that when a woman, I said it earlier on, I said, in the past, women will cuckold a lot of men and present children of other men into their own family. Right? So, is it far-fetched for me to also think that such things are still being done in our modern era? It's possibly, you know. And then to top it off again, you have child support. You know, in case you're not married, you have child support, whereby a woman can put your name on the birth certificate, you know, and you could be held liable for that child. I think there were a couple of cases, even on TV, where a man was, I think his wages were being garnished for how many years, and even though the court found out that those children weren't his, but the mere fact that he has already been paying, they said they're not going to change anything for him. You know, how fair is that? When you find out that the man is not really, you know, the father of that child, and still you want him to continue to pay, calling him selfish for him saying, you know what, those children are not mine, so I shouldn't be paying for them. Why would you call him selfish? You know? But what DNA testing does for a man is basically assure him that those children are his. You see, a woman who is bringing a child into the world already knows that that child is hers. We can even sit down here and debate, you know, as to how much of a woman is in that child. I think from what I read, from one of my readings, I heard that the mitochondrion, which is part of the cells, you know, used for the full divination of the child, is actually comes from the mother. So that means the mother occupies at least 45% of that child, you know, from the mitochondria alone, you know. So a mother is often assured that that's her own child. The man cannot be assured that it's his own child, except if that child is growing, you know, or possibly maybe when they go to the hospital and that child needs blood or whatever it is, and the man, you know, finds out, oh, this is my own child. But many of the times the man doesn't really know, unless he looks at the child's behavior, or maybe he looks at the child's physiological attributes, you know. Then maybe he might say, okay, yes, it's my own child. But many of the times men don't know. You see, when I speak to the opposite gender, I often try to make them understand why it's very important for a man to have DNA of all his children from this perspective. Let's say you're a mother. You recently had a child, and then somebody comes in and mix your baby up with somebody else's child, and then give you someone else's child, and have you now put your own breast to someone else's child and feed that person's child while your own child is hungry. Your own child is being maltreated. You know, your own child is going around there without food. Your own child is God knows where, and asking themselves, what did I deserve? What did I do in my previous life to deserve this lot in life? While someone else's child is in your own comfort, in your own home, enjoying all the benefits that your own child is supposed to enjoy. You know, going to the best schools, doing this, doing that. While your own blood is out there in the world, you know, looking for his or her next meal, not able to do anything, almost to the point of almost suicide. And then just when you think everything is okay, you now find out that this child that you've been pampering so much is not your own child. You've been raising another man's child or another woman's child. How are you going to feel as a mother that you've been raising another woman's child in your own home? You're not going to feel great. That is how men feel. When you put men in a situation like that, whereby they're raising someone else's child, it is not fair. It's not a fair thing, you know. So should it be something that should be offered? Yes. I think both married folks and unmarried folks need to have the DNA test before they put their name on that child birth certificate of who is the father and who is not the father. And let me put it like this for you. Most of the times, especially with married people, okay, even if the husband of the woman is not really the father, the court still holds the husband of the woman as the father of that child. And I'm going to repeat this again. Even if the husband is not the father of that child, and the mother is protesting that the husband is not the father of that child, right? Even if a DNA test is given for that child, the court will always rule towards the man by simply saying that he is the husband at the time of the child delivery, and as a result of that, he will be held accountable for that child because that child was born while they were married. So many of the times, if you look at marriages were a way to secure a woman and her children's how would I put, claim on that man. Do you understand what I'm saying? Marriages were never things to benefit most men, except if the man is poor marrying into rich. And many of the times, rich families don't like poor men, or men who don't have anything to provide. So many of the times, either rich to rich, or a rich man marrying into a poor woman family. You know, because of what that man can offer. So, what is the benefit of marriage for a man? The truth be told, there's barely any benefit except, simply saying, hey, I'm married to this woman and she is the mother of all my children. His children will benefit a lot from it because they don't have to go to the court all the time to contest certain things. There's some things that, if a man dies without a will, that the children in a marriage can contest. Do you understand what I'm saying? But children born out of wedlock, I don't know how strong their cases are, especially in our legal system and the legal system in certain African nations. We don't know what the strength of it is, but in marriages, the strength of the child, okay, the ability to move certain things when the father is dead, is very, very strong. Okay? It's very, very strong. They still have this patriarchal system. So many of the times, if it's a male child, many of the burdens that are associated with the father will quickly move to the son uncontested. Okay? I don't know whether it still works in America the same way. I don't know, but I know in Africa it does. Many of the times, if the man has a son, yeah, it will move like that. So that's one of the major benefits of marriages. The woman is always protected in those marriages. So for me, other than any of those things, or simply saying, hey, this is my own wife or whatever it is, many of the time there's no benefit. So from what I was hearing, I don't know whether it's true. I think I have to check that. But they were saying that if a woman says no to DNA testing, that you cannot have it. If she doesn't consent to DNA, that a married man cannot have it. I don't know how that one works out. I think I was reading it somewhere, but as a boyfriend, girlfriend, you have more leverage to ask for a DNA test before you put your name on the birth certificate. At that point, you're not held at gunpoint as a boyfriend. You're not being held at gunpoint, but as a husband, you have no other choice many of the times. And if she says no, meaning the marriage, she'll be protected in that manner. She can say no, and I think you can have the DNA test without her approval. But anyway, the main topic of discussion today is, should DNA testing be mandatory? I say no. However, it should be a service that should be offered to every man who is expecting a child. Men need to know if the child that is being brought into the world is of his own ancestry, so that he can take proper responsibility of his children. We have seen too many times on Maury, whereby a man is being pushed, even by his own mother, to accept the responsibility of a child that he never fathered. And even with the DNA test, even after the DNA test shows that the kid is not even the father, you still have family members trying to press on him, telling him he should take on the responsibility of another man. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? But anyway, like they always say, knowledge is power. it's better for a man to know than for him not to know whether a child is his or not. So with that said, I think that's just going to be the end of my discussion for tonight. I think we've definitely touched on this topic, but hopefully as time goes on, we can touch on other topics as those things come up. But yeah, go ahead, watch the link, tell me what you think, hopefully in the discussion, or maybe come to my YouTube channel and post a comment there. Let's have this conversation going. I think it's very important that we have this discussion as a community, and then see how we can go from there. I think like what they always say, before you make something into a policy, I think everybody needs to weigh in on the topic. So yeah, well, that's been me. It's a wrap. Okay, from 5 Minutes or Less Media Review. Thanks for coming out to watch, and hopefully we will have something that would cause other people to comment more a little bit. All right, take it easy, and good night. Stay safe, especially with the COVID situation out there. Regards, guys. Bye.